Hi guys, welcome to the absolute new series on my channel. As you probably know, there are a whole variety of different types of chess games. I've decided to show you moves that I think should change you and the way how you perceive the chess. The moves that are just like Thanos snapping his fingers, flipping around everything you know and changing universe forever. That's type of the moves that I want to show you. What I can promise to you that I'll try to find for you the best moves, the most interesting games, and the contestants that really had or still have an impact to the beautiful game of chess. The game that I'm going to show you today is pretty unique because it's a FIDE World Chess Championship 2023. When there's like championship and you're in the final, you kind of expect, well, the best players, right? That's what championship is about. But everyone who is really into chess or been into chess for the last few years know that that was a special year. That was a year where Magnus Carlsen, absolutely undisputed champion of chess, decided not to take part in it. He said that there's no fun in playing so long for so many matches. He didn't want to play against Jan Nepomniachtchi, who has been his opponent many times, and there was nothing really incredible going on. There's finally the fact that Magnus won everything that he ever wanted. Probably he achieved things that for so many people were just seemed to be unachievable. He didn't have to prove anything to anyone. So I'm talking about this because many people think that that wasn't a true championship match between the best contenders, which is understandable, of course. But let me tell you this: Jan Nepomniachtchi is a guy who tried so hard and been so close to get this title before. And Ding Liren, that particular year, achieved some godlike level of chess. So yeah, this is round 6. The guys been playing with each other for some time. They know the weaknesses, they know their strengths, and the reason why I'm showing you this is that that's some crazy stuff. Let's jump to the game, shall we? Let's jump to the game. So Ding Liren, instead of using Rui Lopez, for example, Vienna game, anything that starts with the e4 and allows you to be offensive, he has chosen d4. When I saw the d4 move, I kinda thought I know what's coming. Jan answered the knight to f6, which kinda invites your opponent to do things like, for example, bishop to g5 with Trompowsky attack. Or, for example, he could propose to go with the Queen's Gambit, right, after later d5. That's something that grandmasters do pretty often to allow your opponent to change the typical way how the position is played. But instead of these things, we got knight to f3. There's no declarations or anything from both sides. d5, once again, as I said, Queen's Gambit is still possible. That was kind of something that I thought there's gonna be on the board soon. But then, boom, bishop f4. Do you know what it means? Do you know what it means? It means that London system is incoming. And I wish it was Jubava, my favorite opening, at least for now. But come on, seeing London system played during the World Chess Championship, that was just like a honey put all over my heart. I was really interested. I was really curious what's gonna happen. Ian went for the c5. That's the most common response, I think, at the higher level, which I assume Ding was prepared for. He played e3. Nothing wrong is going on. Knight to c6. Knight to d2. Ian took. Ding took the pawn without any hesitation, really. And there's bishop to f5. Position that doesn't really favors anyone, but of course, whites, they always have this slight advantage. They're both prepared to play it. We've got c3. Passive way to block the knight and have a stable position here. There's e6. As I said, they're still playing this as cool as they can. Here comes the bishop to b5, of course, pinning the knight. In many situations in London system, the better way to play it was to put the queen on b3. And in many occasions, your opponent might try to exchange them, playing the queen to b6, but of course in this particular situation it doesn't work, because after this and this rook can finally breathe, but these weaknesses are going to be really painful. Jan couldn't go for it, and I think Ding could choose this line, because after this is usually moves like queen to d7, protecting this and preparing your rooks to be connected, but Ding Liren didn't want to go for it, so I'm not gonna judge him. He's way better than me. So yeah, that was played. Ian answered with bishop to d6. That's a normal thing in London system. You're gonna get it so many times playing it. Sometimes you prefer to just go back with your bishop to g3 and potentially open your line with, you know, take stakes, or just take it. This is one of the situations where you just want to take. If queen takes, you just castle, he castles, and you go for things like this to attack this, like this bishop. And here we go. Bishop beats the d6, queen took, castle, rook e1, taking a place to attack, potentially putting your knight here in case if another I would took it. There's always a chance to grab this pawn here, kick this knight out. That's a really normal tactic in London system, to potentially bring up your rook and have a good opportunity to attack going back with this bishop, because the white squares will be finally easier to attack. That's how London system just goes. You need some stable, cool, calm, collected position from where you can attack the king side of your opponent, just slowly but surely taking down all his defenders. Jan said, okay, I got you, I know what's coming. Let's go with the h6. Now, you can't just jump with your, or say this and this potentially is not targeting anything. Like, prove me that you can really play London system the way that it wins the game, not just allows you to be safe. Ding Liren said, okay, we can do this. Of course, you can't take it. It's a nice little fog, losing the game immediately. So Ian then jumped with this horsey back to the e7. Nothing's really going on, although this bishop is getting some space, and this knight doesn't really have much to do. Like, what can you do? This place is blocked. This place is blocked. This is the place when you just... This weakens your king. Especially this becomes the weakness. Tough spot, innit? Ding Liren said, okay, I got this. Now, let's take advantage of it. Logical chess. Jan said, okay, so maybe not with this bishop. Bishop went to the f1. First of all, takes so many squares. Second of all, protects the g2 pawn, which of course is not attacked now. But this might be a thing sooner or later. This queen will surely try to maneuver. This particular season, Ding Liren was kind of playing like a machine. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but sometimes it was just ridiculous how solid and yet rewarding his chess were. Jan was still trying to maneuver his knights. Of course, now taking is an option because it's no longer fork. Engine says that if Ding would take it, that would be perfectly okay. And he did. He knew it. So we've got this type of the position where rook is quite offensive. Knight is getting here sooner or later. This is a threat. I really like the white's position. I feel like black has nothing really to offer except the bishop that covers many fields, but without any actual reward. So, and even if he managed to do this, this is still protected. That was a silent but deadly move. We've got an a5. a5 that is the best, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know why is this move so good. Maybe just after this combination where it goes here, here, and here, the perspective of destroying the only connected pawns that white has was just too dangerous. Probably, but I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't play it, of course, but who am I comparing to these guys? a5, queen to c7, finally having some potential. Queen to f3, of course. Rooks are finally connected. That was the idea, probably. And rook to c8. Now, whites are still okay, waiting for the opponent to do something, when Nepomniachtchi finally finds a way to make his figures playing. Like, this knight is still a bit too passive, and he can't find a good spot for himself, but this looks scary. Rook to a3, bishop to g6. Knight to b3. This knight was quite sad, especially that after the queen took his f3 spot, this is basically the only place that he would go, because he couldn't even maneuver himself like this. So only move really for this knight to make it better positioned. So knight went to c6. Here's the pressure. Here's the pressure on the a5 pawn. There are potential, not working right now, but you never know, sacrifices on d4. Because if there will be a rook here, for example, boom, and all it takes is just to get away with this knight. But come on, right now, nothing bad is going on. It's still a drawish position, although whites are favored after queen to g3, which I think Liren played, as I said. This guy had, like, computer attached to his brain. So yeah, g3, Nepo didn't want to exchange the queens, so he went for queen e7. h4, one of the best moves in the position. He finally got a chance to do something, and that was probably the reason why this queen went to the g3 in the first place, to once again potentially got this pawn. I know it's just a two mover, but it still resonates with me how many deep tactics there are hidden in moves that wouldn't be even easy to spot. Rook to e8, which engine finds quite inaccurate, and the reason behind it is that it allows to unite on b3, jump to the c5. And you might be like, Arthur, the knight could jump there like anytime? Well, no, because, and this is the most incredible part, the queen on g3 had one more amazing job to do. Because if we're gonna get back to this position and put our knight on the c5, there's an incredible move. Boom. Knight takes a5. Knight takes a5. You can't really take it because you're getting forked. It really equals the position, even favors black in some of the lines. And the only move that you got here, still keeping the advantage, is move that it's knight to e6. And the answer for it, for black, is to put a rook on c6. Attacking this, you can't really move anywhere with this figure, so you have to take. Black takes, and engine says that this is relatively okay, but much worse than it used to be. It's much closer to the draw, and to be honest, calculating things like this and being sure about having a good opportunity where two pieces are just completely strangling your rook. They're like the thief that comes to you with a knife and he's like, give me everything you've got, give me everything you've got, and you really know that you're just pushed to the wall. Even if you feel like you could defend yourself, you still don't want it. That's not something that Liren would want. So instead of this, after rook moved, now we've got this, and this no longer works, right? Because if you take it, that's just a free knight. So crazy line, but that's not the move that I wanted to show you, of course, because it's only get better from here. e5, well, looks offensive, but you can't really take it, right? You can't really take it, and even though it looks like Ian controls the center. The truth is, he doesn't really. And whites are getting more and more opportunities to just attack the weaknesses. Ding chosen something a bit controversial. Rook to b3, although you can't blame him. You can't blame him, right? This is definitely a weakness. This move looks just devastating. And, you know, Ian needs to find a solution for this. The solution was to take the pawn, which was obviously free-ish. Here comes the rook to e5. A move that says, okay, you want your fury pawn, then prove to me that you know what to do with your queen. Did Ian knew? Of course Ian knew. Ian calculated that queen to f6 is perfectly okay. And now this position is getting like really hard. Like people say that London system is boring. If this is boring, I don't know how interesting chess would look like. There's one move for whites that gives them absolute good position. And this is, believe me or not, rook to a3. Which of course looks like we get fogged. But hey, this bishop plays here on the very beginning. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Can't be played. Can't defend this anymore. Ian had to go for this line. Ian had to go for this line. And after obvious takes, this is lonely. This is still attacked. So many problems. And you can't fix them all. You can't fix them all. And whites is getting more and more chances. Blacks is just in the court. Black is just in the court. And he tries to answer all these questions. Where have you been? Did you know the victim? What were you doing there in the middle of the night? A lot to take. The chess is about your mind, so it probably had a tool on Ian. h5. You have to do something with this bishop. You can't take it. I think I don't have to really explain this. So d2. Weird place if you really think about it, because look what kind of a monster this knight become just because Ian allowed him to go here by moving this rook. This is just crazy how much work this knight does. But let's go. There's one good move in this position. Knight takes b7, and he took it. Of course, he took it because this pawn was just hanging there. You know, it's like a little rabbit just watching the pack of wolves roaming around. He's like, okay, is this now? Is it over? Yeah. It was over for this guy. Queen to b6, quick, offensive, decisive. And this position looks really bad for whites, right? Because this is hanging. This type of threat is devastating. This is not good. There will be a moment where black could really get this game on their own terms. The thing is, here, and believe me or not, this is still not the move that I want to talk about. Whites got knight to d6. Maybe after 1 hour of trying everything in this position, maybe I would consider this for a second, but this move looked like it was taken from another planet, Ding Liren's planet, because if you would take it, if you just try to take it, you got beautiful combination of taking the queen. That's just beautiful. And it's not only about this, the fact that this knight also attacks the rook in this position is just crazy, because if the rook would decide to take on e5, which is basically the best move, the queen takes it, and this line is completely dominated with both the knight and the queen. That's, come on, what a move. I'm sure that anyone below 2000 would just lost it here if opponent would play this against them. I would lose it definitely. So yeah, the best line, of course, rook took, queen took, and the pawn is falling down. But of course, it wasn't like a free pawn. There's a rook to a5. Might look tempting to take it, but there's the queen to c1, which kind of, you know, force you to go here. White is still winning, but I do not blame Ding for taking just an easy pawns in situation like that and going backwards with his knight, especially when he's just able to spot this type of threats like this knight to d6. So instead he went for the rook a5. it just allowed Ding to have a really, really crazy threats. Like, for example, if Jan would ignore some crazy lines, look at this combination. Just look how beautifully he could get into the trouble. Actually, the best way to defend himself is just to take it, and he would like to play something like this. I believe no one. So yeah, he couldn't really take the pawn, although it looked like it was completely free. Keep in mind and look at the timer. Ding has 20 minutes. Jan still had 54. He was still able to take such a big risks on this time. Of course, Jan calculated this because he's a super GM after all, but you can see that there is a cost. Of course, Engine didn't want you to take it. Queen e1 actually is the best move, because this is the weakness, that it's not going anywhere, but this move protects the only weakness. That looks like a move, but instead we've got move like this. So still, if you would take it, there's something like this. Problems. Jan said okay, so maybe c1. Maybe that's the way. King to h2, no other choice, and f6. It's like, I know you're winning, Ding, but I still get my attacking opportunities, and if you make a mistake, if you just let me slide with my queen here, attacking your knight and your king, you'll be in big trouble. So you had to put the queen somewhere. There are many good places, g3 is just one of them. a5. That's one of the ways how to deal with the problems of complicated positions, where if there's too much pressure on one side of the board, you want to just throw it to the other side. It's just like a football match where the winger centers the ball just all over the pitch to the another winger, because there's much more space, and no one really expects this when there's so much action going on the other side, right? But you can still see that this is all looking very good for white and not so good for the black. Free pawn, well, he had to take it sooner or later. Can't blame him, really. Ian was like, what am I supposed to do? Let's go. Knight to e3. Bishop went away, because of course, the more figures there is here, the more dangerous this pawn gets. Rook went to the c7. It made the rook go to the square, where it's not only not doing anything, but also another guardian of the a4 pawn just went away. So Ding was like, yeah, let's do something with this knight, because there are more and more motives here. Like, I can take, he can't take back. Everything is just squeezing this knight. Look how he's suffocating. He just fell to the water, and he can't just take a breath. He can't. He went to h8, which is actually the best move, but this is ridiculous when you see the evaluation bar, because this move gives whites like only +4, but the rest +6, +8. So to play a move like this, which is still the best move in the position, as I said, it's only getting better in my opinion. King h8. Rook went here to attack this lonely pawn. Can't blame him really. Although, as you can see, Engine doesn't really like it, but it's okay. And Jan was like, yeah, but I can still push it. There goes a3. Now, knight jumps to e7, targeting the rook, but that's not the only part of this plan. The real part of this plan is the fact that this rook can only be played over this line, and whenever it goes, there's a devastating attack of rook coming to b7, potentially targeting this bishop. It's not the end of the story. Imagine rook to b8. Just like, let me show you this. There's this, and random move from Nepo. You have to take it, really, and that's just a mate. Taking control over this line was crucial, just crucial in this position. Ding knew it, Nepo knew it too, but what could we do? There's the rook to f8, and now, please take a break. I said that rook b7 is the best move in this position, which kind of spoiled the things, but not really. In this position, with the right hand on your heart, would you have enough courage, enough audacity, enough self-confidence to play a move. You ready for this? Because that's the most important part of this match that I wanted to show you. Ready? D5. D5? What do you mean D5? So many moves. Why D5? The beauty of this move is that it prevents this pawn of becoming a queen. And you'll be like, actually, what are you even talking about? It has nothing to do with this pawn. Well, Jan was, yeah, I'm still getting my pawn this way or another, right? I can always, you know, move my queen and get it somehow. Oh boy, oh boy. Queen to c7. Move that looks like a simple threat, really, like, because yeah, it's running mate in one, but is it really? Like, there's a knight and stuff like this. Well, the beauty of this move is that there's only one move that prevents a mate in this position, which is already a crazy thing, and it's rook to g8, giving this rook completely for free. But of course, Ian didn't want to do this because that would be the end. That would be the end. So he was like, okay, I will figure this out. I will figure something out. I will find a chance to show this Chinese guy how to play a proper chess in like old Russia school. King to h7. The whole point of this move was to just put the knight on the g6 square, and it's not even looking this dangerous, right? Because hey, I can just move my rook, and that's exactly what Nepo said, or at least thought. Yeah, I'm moving it, and now what? Now what? I'm still trying to get my pawn, and we're still playing, right? We're still playing. There are so many moves that will make this position equal. Yes, there are so many moves making this position equal, except queen to f7. And in this position, Ian resigned. And you'll be like, but what is he scared of? Like, of course, we all see that he can just do this. You can't take, so this is the important piece. Well, I'm gonna guard it. I'm gonna guard it. Alright, no problem. This is still dangerous and protected. What now? What now? Let me tell you now. Queen takes g8. What? King takes. Check. What? I'm just getting around. Boom. This single pawn after rook to f8 completely mates a king. Finding combination like this in such a game is just beyond my comprehension. I'm sorry. I refuse to believe it that it is even possible. Of course. Here, Nepo could play just something like this, but well, really after this, there's no game. There's no game. That pawn was the only figure that really made this position worth it. So he couldn't move his bishop because that's a free queen. He couldn't really take the pawn because that's a free bishop. This rook can't really move, and all the things are still getting there. There are three different moves, and every one of them gets black figures mated in 7 moves. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being in such a position where you can't make a move because anything you do, it's just equally devastating? I'm telling you, this combination and playing this pawn to leading to such a beautiful ballet-like complicated and just wonderful combination. If that it's not making you fall in love with chess, then I don't know what would. yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. Please let me know. Do you enjoy it? Do you like my analysis? Do you want more of it? Less of it? Would you like to see anything other? Maybe you've got your own favorite moves of your favorite grandmasters, or maybe not even grandmasters, that were just brilliant. Let me know. Let's connect. Let's talk. Let's discuss. That's all what chess is about. Until then, I'll try to deliver more interesting videos for you. So don't hesitate to subscribe. Don't hesitate to like. Just take care and play more chess, and definitely do more puzzles. Take care, guys.